Welcome to the second edition of City Talk, a production of the Leavenworth Government Channel 2 Administrative Committee called the Community Television Access Committee. We had broadcast a program similar to this in December of 1999 on a trial basis, and because of comments received have decided to proceed with interviews of persons who render significant service to government in the City of Leavenworth viewing area. I'm pleased to announce today that we have two guests from the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Leavenworth campus. They are Carolyn Alsdorf, who is the Executive Director of the Leavenworth campus, and Rhea Chuber. Rhea is newly with the Community College and is the Leavenworth coordinator of the college. We'll be talking to them today about the role the community college plays in the city of Leavenworth and its environs, and we'll be talking in some detail about how the community college recognizes and ascertains the needs of students and other patrons of the college and strives to fulfill those needs. I'd like to remind our viewers that the purpose of the Channel 2 broadcast is to carry the message of government to our viewers in the Leavenworth area. The message is going to be essentially what are government programs, how can patrons access those programs, and how can we all strive better to make our community function as a community in Leavenworth. Toward this end, this program will be broadcasting, we hope, programs that will actually be initiated by government entities. The program we're broadcasting today is done so just as an example to prospective users of Channel 2 as to what the possibilities are. Certainly standards of excellence aren't we're not pretending to have those, but we're simply experimenting with this medium to try to show other entities what's available. So we'll be hoping to broadcast to you programming that is initiated by not only the City of Leavenworth, which is what's going on here today, but also by the County, School District 453 of the City of Leavenworth, the Kansas City Community College, the state of Kansas and its various entities which are have a presence in the Leavenworth community, including the courts. We'll be having a forthcoming program on the Leavenworth courts, and also federal institutions, and significantly, I might say that we'll have programs from our Leavenworth City Library, which promise to be very interesting, along with the Carnegie Arts Center in Leavenworth and hopefully the Leavenworth Community Theater. This is just a sample of the type of programming that we hope to be bringing to you on Channel 2. With that, I'd like to turn to Carolyn. First, Carolyn, we're happy to have you back on the program again. You briefly in December described your view of what it was you thought the community college could do to take advantage of this facility. And we'd just like to be a little more specific today. So for our viewers, first of all, I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be the Executive Director of the Leavenworth campus.
I came to Kansas City, Kansas Community College in 1989, and at that time was hired as a coordinator, like Rhea, was in charge of our off-campus program that excluded at that time the Leavenworth Center. So I was in charge of the programs we offered in Basel, Tonganoxie, Bonner Springs, and the United States Disciplinary Barracks at that time had a program for the inmates. Although I worked with the coordinator of the Leavenworth Center and assisted her, they didn't fall under my realm of responsibilities. Gradually, the position I had was upgraded to a director, still in charge of off-campus programs, added a few other things as things go by. Typically our jobs grow. And then in 1997, when the former director left, I applied for the position in Leavenworth. They had upgraded it another grade to executive director, and I was the lucky candidate, I guess. Prior to coming to Kansas City, Kansas Community College, I taught and was also an administrator of a private proprietary business college in Topeka for 5 years. And then I taught high school before that for a couple of years. So I've basically been in education my entire professional life.
As a kind of a reporter here today, at least that's how I perceive my role, I thought I'd just ask the basic questions about what it is the community college does and who's behind it and so forth, the who, what, when, where, why type questions.
Okay.
So why don't you just first of all address the issue of who is the Kansas City, Kansas Community College?
Well, and let me back up one step and address community colleges at large. There are two basic tenets that we are founded on, all community colleges. First of all is that we exist to respond to and serve our community's needs. And so that's why typically at community colleges you'll see a wide range, a very diverse range of programs and services being offered, because they are in response to the needs of the community that we serve. Secondly, and perhaps the most important, is that we are all open-door institutions. And a basic philosophy of community colleges is the belief that all people have the right to an education beyond high school, regardless of your level of preparation sometimes. So you'll see a lot of adult basic education and GED programs at community colleges. And we have a very large developmental education program at Kansas City, Kansas Community College to help people bring their skills up to a level that they can then be successful in college courses. And so those two items are the foundation for Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and of course the Leavenworth Center.
Is there a governing board for the community college?
Yes, we're governed by an elected board, a board of trustees, and those people are elected by Wyandotte County voters.
Is that a district type election or countywide election?
Countywide election.
Countywide election. How many trustees are there?
6.
Did I stump you with that question?
I believe there, let me see, 1, 2, 6.
This just proves to our viewers that this isn't a rehearsed program.
That's not fair. That question wasn't on the list.
Tell the viewers about the financial support for the community college, being specific to Leavenworth. What levels of tax support do you currently count on?
Okay. And if I seem vague when I answer this question, it's because currently higher education in Kansas is kind of in a transitionary, tumultuous stage right now. Last year, the legislature approved that all community colleges would also come under the Board of Regents. Prior to that, we were part of the State Department of Education. So our funding is gradually changing in this transition period of probably about 4 years. But basically, Kansas City, Kansas Community College is supported predominantly by Wyandotte County taxpayers. There's a mill levy of over 17 mills against the assessed valuation in Wyandotte County, and that amounted to nearly $13 million this past tax year. Leavenworth County, on the other hand, is assessed what is called out-district tuition. And that is charged back to the county at a rate of $24 for every credit hour that a Leavenworth County resident takes from Kansas City, Kansas Community College. This amounted to $449,346 during the last academic year, which would be this current year that we're in, 99-2000. Keep in mind, though, that Leavenworth County pays money to Johnson County Community College. If a Leavenworth County resident attends there, they'll pay to Coffeyville if a student chooses to go to Coffeyville, or Seward County Community College. And that's the way it has always been done in the state of Kansas.
So the approximate $450,000 is to the Leavenworth campus of KCK Community College.
Right.
All right.
Now,
what about the state of Kansas? Do they help you any?
Oh, yes. They provide what's called state aid. It's either academic, which is at $33.50 a credit hour, or vocational, which is at a higher rate of $50.25. It's about 1.5 times what the academic rate is. Now, that's what has been legislated and budgeted. However, if the tax dollars aren't there to support that dollar amount, it can be less than that.
What about fees? Do students who enter the community college at Leavenworth pay fees?
We assess student fees of $6 per credit hour. Those funds go into the budget to assist us in paying the rent on the facility that we use in Leavenworth and to provide some of the student services that we provide at the Leavenworth Center.
You indicated that because of the reforms in the structure of state educational institutions in Kansas that there's going to be some change in funding over the next few years. Can you describe that a little bit more and what you expect the final formula to be?
Well, I'm not sure what the final formula will be, John. Our college president could answer that. He's got a really good handle on that. But probably the best news for the Leavenworth County and particularly the commissioners is that out-district tuition is going to be phased out over a 4-year period. So they will reduce that $24 by 25% each year up through, I believe it's the year 2004 or 2005. So next year, out-district tuition will be $18 per credit hour, and then the following year it'll be reduced again until it no longer exists.
Well, doesn't that mean then that the burden that the Leavenworth County Commissioners have felt all these years will be removed?
Well, they shouldn't be receiving a bill for $450,000 anymore. What they're doing in the state is pooling the tax money and then dividing it among the 19 community colleges and 6 Regents institutions, which includes Washburn University. And will be all budgeted in the same manner, not so much on a credit hour basis.
Does this change in financing mean that the ultimate control over the governance of community colleges is going to shift to the Kansas Board of Regents?
No. We will still maintain our local control at the community colleges with our boards of trustees, and then the Board of Regents will still maintain control as they have, it's my understanding, over the universities.
I'm wondering, does the governing structure of the community college require that the Board of Trustees be elected from Wyandotte County?
That's my understanding, because Wyandotte County was originally the entire taxing support for the community college. I don't know if that will now change with the tax dollars being pooled. That's something that I don't know.
Well, that's something that Leavenworth patrons might want to pay attention to. At this point, let me turn to your associate here, Carolyn, Rhea Chuber.
Yes.
Rhea, it's nice to have you with us for the first time.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
I understand that your duties have changed and you've got a new title at the Leavenworth Center. You're the coordinator, is that right?
That's right.
What do you coordinate?
I coordinate students and adjunct advisors. I'm the first person that students typically see when they come to the community college. I help them assess their needs and their wants, and I also help them to develop programs that will help them to be successful in meeting their goals.
What sort of training or background do you have for this, Rhea?
I have been teaching since 1979, primarily in high schools and community colleges, and just love the community college feel. I believe very strongly in the tenets of the community college, that everyone has a right to an education no matter what their development level, which leads me to one of my goals for my position as coordinator, and that is to implement a very strong research base for what is happening with our developmental programs to make sure that students are successful. We are actually working to develop a program with those students who find themselves in academic trouble, to meet with them and help them overcome the hurdles that have caused them difficulties along the way. I started at KCKCC on the adjunct faculty teaching the pre-composition developmental English courses 4 years ago.
What is an adjunct faculty, by the way?
Adjunct is not full-time, just part-time teachers.
Who are the teachers at the Leavenworth Center by and large?
We are primarily adjunct faculty. We come from everywhere, but Fort Leavenworth offers a tremendous number of our faculty members.
What about the full-time faculty from Kansas City, Kansas? Do they participate at the Leavenworth campus?
Yes, they do. We have full-time faculty that are on our Leavenworth Center campus daily.
I'm wondering, how does one determine, or how does the community college determine what the curriculum is that's going to be offered at Leavenworth? Do you have something to do with that?
Primarily that's done at the division level with full-time faculty members. Our adjunct faculty are supplied with a syllabus that lays out exactly the outcomes that we expect our students to have from each class. But that doesn't mean that the adjunct faculty members don't have some freedom within those confines of specific outcomes to be as creative as possible with their teaching styles.
In your association with the students, I understand that you interview or try to interview all the students. Is that true?
The vast majority of the students do see me, and I help them to design their programs each semester.
All right, and I assume you get feedback from your students too, don't you, as to what they think's going on and whether it's successful or not?
Yes, we do. We get a tremendous amount of feedback from our students.
What do you do with that information?
Well, we take that information and increase the number of classes and the types of classes that we offer each semester based on student need. We also hear from business leaders in the community, and they help us to determine the sorts of things that they need for our students to have, the sorts of skills they need our students to have when they graduate.
Have you identified currently some specific needs for the Leavenworth campus, and if so, what are they?
We need more computer space at the Leavenworth Center. Our computer classes fill very quickly, very, very quickly. We have an active senior users group that also uses our computer space. That's probably the most significant need, that and the fact that it would be very nice to have some more science lab space at the Leavenworth Center.
All right, now you're talking about technical training here or education, aren't you? Is that one side of the...
That's just one side of
All right. You mentioned that you're an English teacher by
Yes.
in history anyway.
Yes.
What sort of role does the Leavenworth campus provide in giving the basic education or preparatory education to students?
We keep in very close contact with the universities in our area, some that aren't so close to our area as well, and have articulation agreements with them, which means that we are very careful to design classes that are acceptable and fully transferable to those four-year schools, so that when our students leave us, those that are ready to go on to and want to go on to four-year schools have their general education requirements taken care of, typically those things that are done in the first 2 years at a four-year school.
Why, I assume that after 2 years at the community college you'd get some sort of a degree, is that true?
True. We have associates in arts, associates in science degrees, which lend themselves very nicely to moving on to a four-year school. We have associates in applied science, which are more vocational programs, and we have an associates in general studies program.
Is there any difference in fees, by the way, for a student who's going to take a vocational curriculum as opposed to an arts or science curriculum?
No, there's not. Well, there is...
Probably the only thing that would impact that is some of the classes have course fees that are assessed. For instance, biology, because of the lab and the items that are used to present that lab and used up, there's a lab fee of $15, I believe. Some of the computer classes have a course fee attached to them, obviously to help assist with the cost of technology within those courses. So, but for the most part, the tuition amount will remain the same.
Let me ask you, it occurs to me, maybe it doesn't occur to others, but it occurs to me that there might be competition for students in Leavenworth. For example, is there a competition between the community college and St. Mary College?
You know, when I was at the Chamber annual banquet, somebody said that because Father Mulkowski and I were sitting at the same table. And I said, no, we're not competitors, we are partners. We serve two basically different groups of students. I was very happy this past summer to see several of their students taking classes from me during the summer to help keep them eligible for athletics. So we don't necessarily compete with each other. We have a 2+2 agreement with St. Mary College in the elementary education degree program, where students take a prescribed 2 years from us, transfer to St. Mary, and finish up their bachelor's degree in education. So to say we're competitors, no, we serve two completely different populations in my view, and you know, I prefer to think of us as partners in meeting the educational needs of our community.
By the way, Father Mulkowski is president of St. Mary College?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why, do you maintain communication with them to find out or to keep abreast of what's going on at the college there at St. Mary?
Some, and then of course we also work through our counseling office on the main campus. It's their duty in the counseling office to make sure all those articulation files and all the information is maintained and kept up to date. And anytime something changes, the counseling office sends out to everyone. But you know, with St. Mary being right in our backyard, so to speak, it's easy to keep in touch with them and to find out what's going on.
What about competition from other educational programs? For example, I know Baker University has had an outreach program. I think they advertised the Baker campus at Fort Leavenworth or something to that effect. Do you feel the effect of competition from them?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, Baker holds many of their classes in the Leavenworth Center. They have an MBA program where they have on-site instruction in our center.
So you complement one another then?
We do. We work very well together.
What about the University of Kansas and Fort Hays State and so forth?
There is a Telenet program where there are televised, instantaneous mini sites all over the state of Kansas, and we have a Telenet program offered through us with Fort Hays, Emporia, KU, K-State. I think I've covered everyone.
Washburn every once in a while.
Washburn occasionally, so that it makes it very, very convenient for students to come and participate in classes.
I think probably persons who might be interested in attending the community college, particularly if they're thinking long-term about a four-year college, would be interested in the transferability of credits from the community colleges. Is that an issue, or is that something that is continually addressed, or what's your response to that, Rhea?
It's only an issue in that it is continually addressed, and we keep those articulation agreements current. We do communicate through our counseling office on main campus with those schools so that we are as certain as is possible that everything that our students offer for, or take for transfer credits from us is transferable to the four-year school of their choice.
Rhea, thank you very much for being with us. Rhea Chuber, who is the coordinator of the Leavenworth campus.
Thank you.
And Carolyn Alsdorf, executive director of the Leavenworth campus of the Kansas City Community College. We look forward to great expectations, really, from the programming opportunities for Channel 2 that we feel are offered by having the community college located in Leavenworth. We're going to close this program, but I do want to let you, give you a little clue as to what we're going to be doing in the near future. During the month of March, we'll be taping programs with other participants, the first of whom will be the mayor of the City of Leavenworth, Mayor Ken Bauer. Mayor Bauer is hopefully going to bring us up to date on the goals of the Leavenworth City Commission. They've recently tried to articulate their goals again. He'll bring us up to date on advances that are being made in terms of specific public improvements such as streets, sewers, parks, and the like. And we anticipate hearing about some ongoing programs of the city. In connection with the opening of the new Leavenworth County Justice Center adjacent to the Leavenworth County Courthouse, current courthouse, we anticipate having programs involving the Chief of Police of Leavenworth, Lee Doring, the Leavenworth County Sheriff, Herb Nye, and the Administrative Judge of the District Court, David King, all of whom will be bringing citizens up to date on the facilities that will now be available at the new Justice Center. Those will be our short-term goals, but as I indicated before, we intend to continue to offer programs which will be produced directly by governmental entities, not just this committee of which I'm a representative. So we are in the process of encouraging all of the governmental entities and departments of the various governmental entities to produce programs for you, our viewers, which will educate you on what is going on in government in Leavenworth. Thank you very much for being with us.